Hey guys, so we are long overdue for a video, especially after the last one that I uploaded but then was botched and had to re-upload and some technical difficulties, etc. So I thought it was probably long past time for a farm tour. So I put together a couple of random video clips and some I kind of shot in sequence that were meant to be more comprehensive, and hopefully this just gives you kind of a basic idea of how the place is presently functioning. So without further ado, here you are. I just wanted to kind of show you how I start my day. So this is hopefully master bedroom, but it has this handy dandy window here that just happens to overlook the bird yard. So I usually come out here and just get a first look what everybody's doing. Looks like we got some emu activity in the back corner. That is their barn shed right down on the other side of it, about there. Oh, that's wrong. This side of it is where the peacocks are in a little temporary run. You can kind of see that little purple roof. That is an igloo coop. Nobody's really sleeping in that because they all prefer the rafters of the barn, but they like to lay their eggs in there, so we can have some wiggle room in terms of that. But yeah, it just kind of gets me, you know, a snapshot of the weather and if I need to attend to any urgent needs. Next up, coffee. So step 2, I generally check on the other critters. This is my living room, which is a little bit of a maximalist everything. But I have pet rats, which are both pets and to feed the snakes. Looks like you gals made a little bit of a mess, huh? Well, guys making a bit of a mess. Hi, cutie. Hi, babies. Hello. Hi. Hello. Oh, babies. We've got these guys with the Dumbo ears. They sit lower on their heads. She's just a little derpy. Hi, babies. Oh, come here. Who wants to say hi? Hey, you're such cute little buggers. But yeah, just making sure everybody's set on their water needs. Get a little bit of interaction on them. And then we say good morning to Miss Betty. Hello, Betty baby. You hiding? You hiding, Miss Betty? Hello. Betty is a bare-eyed cockatoo. She's believed to be about 4. She was returned to the pet store by her previous owner. They got COVID and I guess their lungs were not in good shape. And birds can make quite a bit of dander. But she's such a sweet girl. And this baby. She just does like little preening and stuff. She's not really talking yet. Supposedly they're supposed to be one of the chattiest birds, but and if you just heard that in the distance, that's a rooster who is inside. But first, we're not done with the living room tour. Checking on the little chickies. These guys hatched about 4 days ago. These are all the little noobs. And then that's actually a bantam chick that was a lone survivor from Tractor Supply situation. They've all been having a real rough shipping this year. Just get her some more food because they haven't figured that out yet. Not the brightest. Baby chicks are not the brightest. You also want to go light on their bedding because they get confused and think it's food and then they don't eat food. Actually got 2 older chicks in with a quarantine rooster. Please excuse my mess. All that needs to go outside or somewhere else. But they are on a dog liner. And we've got this pretty boy. But he's got a foot issue. And he's in with 2 little juvenile chicks from an earlier test batch. He had a real bad frostbite issue. His mom was a salmon feverel, so he had feathered feet. And I think he just neglected to go in one night or got snow or ice on him or something and got actually a lot of cold damage, so he had some necrotic feet. We've got the crew waiting to be let inside. Oh, you goofies. Oh, you goofies. There's Blue Bear. He's the resident old man out of a whole 4. Gertie, my rescued Pyrenees, who's still very much a puppy even though she's the biggest. She and Tater, the corgi, are best friends, which is hilarious. And then we've got Tinks here somewhere. There he is. There's Tinky Butt. She's my very anxious little super mutt. Yeah. So here I am in my kitchen. I was waiting for my coffee to brew and I was like, how do I entertain my ADD self? And I had some marigold seed pods that I had collected from last year. Just let them dry in like a little tray. So I am just separating the seeds out. I try to, whenever possible, buy like heirloom varieties and save my own seeds. It's a little more economical. And then you kind of know you'll always have them, especially if you really like them. If they have like hybrid vigor or, you know, anything like that. But yeah, we got that. Got some coffee. Puppies are in and happy. And we are getting the day a-rolling. So this is what the loose seeds from the marigolds look like. So the pods, when you pull them off, sometimes they'll have the petals stuck to the end like that. Sometimes the petals will have fallen off and then you just see like the little ends of the seeds. I just roll them and most of it falls out. And to make sure I'm not missing any, I just crack open the pod and see if there's any more in there. So most of the time, you know, marigold seeds are ready when they have the nice dark back end there. But I just got one where, you know, it might have been the tail end of the season, the plant was dying off, or maybe it was a late flower or whatnot. And I went to do the same. Let me get this in view here. These. But these guys are all like very pale, you see. How they're not really the nice dark, like black color. They're kind of little. Those are not really going to germinate well. I mean, you can leave them in there if you want, if you're just gonna like chaos seed, but I'm just gonna chuck those. But yeah, marigolds are a really great starter way to just kind of do something that's a little economical and sustainable for yourself. And it makes your garden look great, keeps the pests away. Honestly, winning on every front. You can do those cute little projects with the kiddos where you plant them and, you know, give them away for Mother's Day or whatnot. They don't take very long to get to maturity. They have really nice, pretty, dark green fern looking, I guess, leaves, more than just like a round leaf, for example. Great little plants. They are not hardy, meaning they can't tolerate cold temperatures. They won't come back, but they will drop these seeds and sometimes they'll reseed themselves outdoors. I am in zone, somewhere between zone 4 and 5. So if I have anything that's a little bit more temperate, I usually just err on the side of caution and bring it in. If you ever see something that says it needs to be cold stratified, that means it actually needs a couple of weeks of the seed or like the pit in, for example, a peach to hit freezing or like below 40 temps to really activate the growing cycle for it to be able to sprout the next year. These do not have that, meaning I can just chuck them back out after chilling in my house all winter and getting nice and dry, and they will be good to go. Marigolds are actually really nice for co-planting around your vegetable gardens because they secrete some substances that actually are pest deterrents. and you know, induce pollinators and just good stuff. So if you get a packet of marigolds, save your seeds, you have that kind of built-in protection for years. A couple of other great co-planters are calendula, which are kind of in, they look similar to marigolds, but they're really not. I believe they're actually from African origin, but a lot of people add this to like natural skincare. It's very soothing. They also help keep pests away. And then nasturtium, which are actually an edible flower. They are fairly hardy. They have a very round seed, which is why I have such a big packet here. It's actually super helpful to soak these overnight before you plant them for increased germination rates. But their flower is like a sweet peppery kind of flavor. Really nice for fresh salads and stuff, and they're just gorgeous little, like, some of them are a dwarf variety, get maybe, I don't know, say banana and a half tall. Other ones get a couple feet tall. These are just some seed companies that I have been trying from online. I'm not sponsored by anybody. And then just some other ones, like this is one I got some more hard to find herbs from a few years ago, and they are still germinating. These are just from my locals. This was also, let's see, Mountain Valley Seed Company, so the same folks there. Just my little collection of things that I am planting to try to improve the health of my garden in a natural and hands-off way as possible. Some other good co-planters are oregano for pest deterrent, peppermint, dill, especially next to cucumbers and tomatoes, thyme really with about anything. Borage is good with peppers and tomatoes as well, helps attract the pollinators, but they have non-competitive nutrition needs. So just some other things to consider. Chamomile also is one that you can co-plant. And yeah. As previously stated, homestead life, just everywhere. Stuff, junk, if you will, everywhere. So we've got a crate that I used to help transport the turkeys from last weekend that we got. We've got some horse pelletized bedding, which I like to put down when it gets really muddy and icky in the spring to get some of the mud and the muck out in the wetter parts of the chicken yard, because they get to scratching, the greenery gets knocked down, just helps maintain foot health. We've got random bags of rabbit feed, and I use this because it's very high in alfalfa content, so I can kind of supplement the emus a little bit on that. We've got alfalfa cubes. This is how I get my naughty cows back and or bribe them for their love, although they don't need much. Literally, if I give them a handful of grass from outside the fence, that's enough. They will sprint along the fence. We'll try to share that with you at some point in the future. I've got a little stack of wood for the power goes out. I do have a fireplace inside that I'm not really supposed to use, but we have had to do what we've had to do when the power runs out. Got some extra fiberglass posts, which is what the electric wire fencing is on out front. Obligate yard cart. We've got stakes that were, let's be honest, a joke for the tents and carports in the first place, which is why they're here, and I actually used rebar. We got some cardboard that we use to kind of help burn. I am in central western New York-ish area, so we had an issue with the emerald ash borer come through a few years ago, and it took out a lot of our mature ash trees, which were a large part of the forest in this area. And so I had a lot of them standing on my property, just dead standing trees, and some of them were fairly close to the house. So I have taken down quite a fair amount of those, and you can see just haven't had the time to finish cutting them into pieces or managing them. And we're kind of just trying to burn them where they stand, let the ash refresh the soil. I've got some cattle and hog panels. That's a project upcoming. We're making a bantam chicken yard around the front of the house here in the side. That was what I attempted to have, the bantam yard, but it turned out to just be too close to the dogs. Nobody was really safe, secure, or happy. We are going to dismantle and move that. Oh, always something going on down at the farm. To greet the girls in the morning. And by the girls, I mean the cows, waiting for me. No matter how much hay they still have or how much forage they have, they are very much led by their stomach. You can see the sad carport down in the back. They did that. This is the other one that I set up, same model. And that's actually what I've kept their hay in over the winter, and it actually did really well. But yeah, gonna give them some hay A little bit of Levins, or at least the one that lets me touch her. The other one only wants food. She has no use for me otherwise. These are the girls. Starting to get some early flies and stuff. Katie is a little more wary. She'll take food usually. She'll eat from your hand. She doesn't really want to be petted. Not super handleable. And then this is Jersey. She don't really care what you do to her. She's kind of the matron. I got them last April. They are meant to be my fuzzy lawnmowers because I don't have 4 hours to mow that every weekend. But yeah, just nice girly girls. Yep, see, I try to pet her and she just swings her head. She's not vicious, she's just kind of a jerk. But I have this old metal rack that I found off in the woods over there somewhere. I just use it to keep their hay off the ground. Not that they seem to care. Pretty girls. Pretty girls. Yes. Yeah, see? Jersey don't care about anything. He's just a happy girl. Just out front at the farm. Just wanted to give you kind of a little bit of a rundown. So I've got my electric fencing for the cows, which goes way back toward the house. They've got about more or less 5 acres in there. I'm not exactly sure. Ballparked from like satellite views or whatever. But this is just 3-strand. Sorry about the traffic noise. 3-strand electric. And then I was having issues with grounding over the winter because the snow kind of blocks the feedback loop of the electric. Usually the cow's feet kind of make the final contact, so if they come in touch with the wire, it zaps them and keeps them in. We did have a couple little adventurers. It was prompted by a branch falling. You can kind of see a little bit at the back there. If I can zoom this, I don't know if I can. But back there-ish, where that is, that actually fell right on the fence and created a perfect little gate out. And then we had some snow that froze. So they just took a little adventure. But in any event, what I ended up doing was creating a, oh Lord, now I'm blanking on the phrase for it. Basically a two-way ground. So these top 2 wires, when they come into contact with them together, that acts as so when they come into contact with the top 2 wires together, that completes the circuit and keeps them in. Honestly, I have the voltage really low, and I have the highland cows. It's the only reason this works because they're a very, very docile breed. And I got them specifically because they're pretty low maintenance. They like to forage for their food. I gave them a carport for shelter. They used it to scratch their horns and knocked it down. So we're going to try to rebuild something else. Just to give them a little shelter from the wind and the rain and the snow a little bit. The weather, creeps back in this coming season. But they did absolutely fine in the winter otherwise without it. So yeah, just a little bit of a look. So this is my little egg stand. Nothing fancy. It's actually the top of like a child's potting bench. And then so you can just put the empty crates under here and the wind protects them. Well, like so. I'm just gonna grab those and take them back with me. And then I just have just a little cooler, and I have a grate in there in case it rains to keep them out of the wet. And I just exchange the eggs whenever I can. Just reassembling that. I jerry-rigged that together to try to keep the rain out. I don't know how well it's working. But yeah, I just have my Venmo, and then little cash box. Just a little note on my eggs. And the pricing. My sign here. And important, there's actually like a pull-off area off the road. Hi, Moo. You, sure, I'll pick some grass for you. How about this? A bottomless pit, you know that? Yeah. If I try to pet her, yeah, that. Give me them horns. Turd. I don't think they like plantain. Here, want some more grass, you ward? Yeah, hi. My pretty kitty girl. No. Can I pet you, please? No. Yeah, I know. No more food. And then there's Miss Jersey. She's such a nice girl. Some fresh grass for you. Way to waste all of it. Doofy. Way to waste all of it. Yeah. You can do whatever you want to her. She don't care. Man, the flies are coming on early this year. I've even seen skeeters already. Hi, baby. You getting all the stuff we dropped? We're getting all the stuff we dropped? Hi, baby girl. Okay, bye. You too. I got nothing for you. Got nothing. Jerk. A little more on their fencing. So I use, again, not sponsored, but I use a Premier One Energizer system. So this is solar, so you just angle it at the best location you can without obstructing trees or anything. And it's actually connected to essentially what's a car battery under here. And you have your live contact and then your ground, which because I did the two-way ground, it's now on this. Normally that would go into a grounding rod into the ground, which I have there. Which I'll probably do again at this point. I just have to double check that my midwinter wiring actually does connect these guys, because I think I might have interrupted that. And I haven't had the time to do a full pace again. But yeah, it's farm life. You do what you need to do when you need to do it. And I also work full time, or at least have that, because I've been having some health changes and stuff too. But yeah, we've got quite the functional little homestead going. This is actually my orchard over here in front of the house, and I put it kind of close to the house to hopefully keep deer out of it. So we've got a variety of trees. This is, I think, a Honeycrisp apple. What are you? I try to leave the tags on because I always forget. This is a pawpaw tree. So those are actually native to North America, although they have a very tropical flavor profile. They're they have a bit of a higher water content need, and they like warmer weather, for example. That is actually I'll say it's an apricot tree. Just a redbud there for decoration at the end. This is a hazelnut bush, which is actually a shrub. We've got some currants interplanted in between. Big old peach tree here and over there. I have a eating pear here, and then this is a flowering pear. So I kind of use this to distract some of the critters, keep them off my trees otherwise. I've got another apple. I think this one's actually a wine sap, so good for cider and things. I've got a Stella cherry. So in this climate zone, it's actually hard to get a sweet cherry to grow, so I'm pretty excited about that. Got a little bush cherry over here somewhere too. Some irises. I think there's rhubarb on both sides of that that'll come up. That's a perennial. My goal for this was kind of like food forest, to just be able to eventually put wood chips down and keep, the nutrition and the water content in the soil, be as hands-off as possible. Again, I want everything to be very self-sustaining and regenerative, because frankly, it's just me doing most of this. Although I do now have the help of my boyfriend, who is, if not experienced, at least enthusiastic. This is just another little side project I've got here. So these are just some native birdberry bushes that I planted to create a little bit of a visual hedge around there. It's a sycamore tree, just because I freaking love them. And this old birch is not looking the healthiest, so just trying to make some plans to keep things healthy. Coming up on the bird yard here, so you can see that's just kind of right over by the side of the house. Again, we desperately need to do some spring cleaning here. I also need to replace the doors on this barn. Hi, babies. These are my male emus. So they are going to be 2.5 or 3. I got them all as babies. So the eldest one is Spanky, which is this guy here. Yeah, hi Froggy, pain in the butt. He's, as you can see, my problem child. Not mean, just not smart and a little mischievous. And then, so we got Spanky, Froggy, and Alfalfa. Got some chickies just doing chicken things. You can see some of the turkeys in the background if you look hard enough. But they've got all of that enclosed. So I've got woven wire fencing around the bottom. And then there's an additional 2 feet of chicken wire up on the top, because sometimes the emus get the zoomies and they'll do a straight vertical. I had one parkour themselves out, and that was a really fun adventure to catch. But their yard actually goes around the corner that way. You can see, thanks bud, thanks. What are you doing, you turd? You can see white building kind of over there. That is the all-season chicken coop. And then just some other little buildings to give them other options for protection. But yeah, emus are funny. The thing most helpful for predator pressure in my area is actually to run, it's not currently on because I was in there the other day, but electric fencing outside of my fencing. So this is more of a barrier to keep them in. This keeps predators out. So I just have to go and pull all this up, get the leaves out. You do have to weed whack or mow under this a couple times a year. It's very much just a step-in system. Again, this particular one is through Premier One. And I have a smaller solar energizer because you don't need as much electric for that. It's like a one little standalone system. Not sponsored, but I've found their products to be really great. And it's just like a little, I don't know, stake. They have single and double. I like the double for stability. But you can mobilize this. You can use it for sheep. I do find that chickens can get tangled in here, so you might not want to have inexperienced chickens in it just on their own, but probably it would work for a number of livestock. Oh, we got Petrie coming up. Hey, pretty blonde baby. Hi, Petrie. Hi, baby girl. Once you choose a boyfriend, you're gonna rule this yard. She's just a little young yet and kind of skittish. Usually female emus are much more dominant. A lot of people know emus from the Useless Farm videos. Very much enjoy those, by the way. Thank you. Love them. Shout out. I definitely don't have a Stanley cuddle bug. Spanky's probably my closest. If he's laying down and chill, he'll let me sit with him and, you know, pet him. But they're just freaking goofy. They will peck at just about anything as this food. They have taken my glasses off. They'll take my hair ties out, off my wrists. They try to eat the buttons if I have something in my pocket. If I set something on top of something, they will be into it. So they're characters. But I think they are good intimidation for predators, like any of the bigger ones, like the coy dogs or the foxes, which I both have. Coyotes, whatever you call them. Oh jeez, I just realized I have this joke on my eye. So the only thing I really have to worry about is like little mongooses or things getting under this, but when it's electrified, usually they don't mess with it. Like, as I said, it's part of homestead life everywhere, you know. There's all the feed bags from over the winter. I just kind of yeeted them over the fence. I've got some food safe rain barrels set for another project. I have a couple people that live on the property. I'm in a separate in-law apartment. Just kind of get gigging, making stuff work. Just doing what we can here. Even out front here. So I have this like little turnaround loop island. So there's 2 oaks at either end, which I really love, and even if they destroy the driveway, I will leave there. But I've planted a mix of peppermint and thyme in here. I think that's a poppy coming up. This is actually, I brushed out my Pyrenees the other day, and then I put her fur out here because I figured birds can line a nest with it. But I got some roses. I think I planted sorrel. Of course, we have some obligate, you know, daffodils and stuff just for pretty. And then this is my herb garden. See the lavender there. There is asparagus here, so I might actually get some asparagus this year. This should be its 2nd year growing. We've got remnants of sage. There's kind of like a little path through here that goes to this other path, and then I've got stuff just on both sides. So they're all perennials as best I can. And I wanted this to be the main support for bees before I got any bees, which I'm also adding this year. And I'm a total noob, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So stay tuned for lots of screw-ups with that. In any event, kind of just a little bit of a day in the life. And hopefully it is entertaining, maybe informative. If nothing else, something to pass the time. autopilot, doom scroll, whatever. Greeting. Hi, puppies. Was everybody good? Was everybody good? Were we good puppies? We didn't get into anything while Mama was outside? Hi, Bubba's. Hi. All right, scoot. Scoot. Let me in. Scoot. All right, good puppies. If you are enjoying the content, please like and subscribe, as that would definitely help us as we continue to kind of try and find our footing here at BST Acres, which stands for Blood, Sweat, Tears, by the way. Not best. I don't have an ego like that. Blood, sweat, and tears that went into this property. But welcome, and I hope you stay with us along for this journey.